Solving linear equations. First off, what makes it linear is the fact that we have an x to the first power somewhere on either side of the equation. If we had an x squared, that would make it quadratic, x cubed would make it cubic, and so on. As long as we only have one variable x, or it could really be any letter, but as long as there's only one variable and it's to the first power, then we have a linear equation, which it should be pretty simple to solve. You have been doing this since Algebra 1, so let's just go over kind of the basic ideas here. So 2x minus 5 equals 7. We want to get x by itself. We start off with not the number right next to it, but this subtraction part, the minus 5. To move it, we have to do the opposite and add 5 to both sides, so that we get 2x equals 12. Now we can get rid of the 2 in front of x by doing the opposite. Right now it's multiplying by 2, so we divide by 2. And that gives us x equals 6. If you are on a test or something, it's a really good strategy to take this and plug it back in and see if you actually did it right. So you'd put 6 where x is and see if this ends up being true. So this is 12 minus 5, which does equal 7, so x equals 6 is correct. Now they can make it harder on us by giving us just more things to do, or by giving us fractions or decimals. If you have a fraction like this, you can just kind of plow through it, add 2 to both sides, divide 4/5 on both sides. Especially if you're allowed to use a calculator, then that might be the way to go. The other way to do it, though, is to get rid of the fractions. And to get rid of the fractions, you're going to multiply by the denominators we have. So we have a 5 and a 3. So we're actually going to multiply this whole thing by 15, each part of it. But when we do that, if I multiply 4/5 x by this right here, the 5's end up canceling out, so that I'm really just multiplying by 3. So that gives me 12x. Then I do negative 2 times 5 times 3, and that gives me negative 15. And then I do 2/3 times 5 times 3. The 3's cancel in that case, giving me just 2 times 5, which is 10. Now I have a two-step equation I can solve. So I add 15 and then divide by 12. So 12x equals 25. Divide both sides by 12 and get x equals, check and see if that will simplify. It won't, so our answer is 25 over 12. And most professors or teachers would prefer you leave it like that, unless they say otherwise. They every now and then might want you to make it a mixed number or something, and it's probably just to give you practice in doing that. But for most people, 25 over 12 would be your best answer. If there's an x on both sides of your equation, our goal now to start off is that we want to get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. So typically we move the x that is smaller or more negative. So this 3x we're going to move over to the left, or you can just always move your x's to the left and always move your numbers to the right. It's up to you. Okay, so now I add 4 to both sides. You can do those first two steps at the same time if you want to. Then divide both sides by 2. That gives us x equals 10. And again, we can go back and plug that in and make sure that we're right, especially if it was a test. That would be a really good idea to check yourself. This last example that I have up here is kind of the most complicated kind of thing that you should see as far as solving equations. We have to distribute because we've got parentheses. We'll have to get x's together. We'll have to add like terms, do all kinds of stuff. So first thing we want to do, though, is distribute. on both sides. So negative 7x minus 7 equals, now distribute the negative 3, so that gives me plus 18x minus 15. And now on the right side of my equation, I have like terms that I need to put together. So 5 minus 15 gives me negative 10. And so this is where I was saying that, you know, a lot of people will basically move the x's. Basically, your goal is to end up with a positive x when you do this. So when you're deciding whether to move them to the left or to the right, this negative, if I add it, now I've made things positive. So that's what a lot of people would do, would be move that negative over to the right. At the same time, I can also add the 10 to this side. So that I have 3 equals 25x. Divide both sides by 25. And I get 3 over 25 equals x. And you have to be aware that unless your teacher says otherwise, you may end up with fractions. A lot of times in high school, early algebra, we like kind of avoid fractions as answers, but that's probably no longer the case in college algebra. You'll get fractions, and that's fine. 3 over 25 equals x. That's the same as x equals. You can just reverse it like that, and that's our answer.